Welcome to the Best and Worst of DC Comics, Part 2, The Worst of DC Comics Rebirth 2016. The year that drugged me back into being a comic book reader, and I am literally reading everything DC Comics produces. Marvel Comics for that matter as well, but that's different video. Part 1 of the Best and Worst of DC dealt with all the titles that were not under the Rebirth banner. Hopefully I'll remember an annotation somewhere around here so you could check that out if you haven't already. So anywho, DC Comics produces 29 titles under the Rebirth banner, and we're going to be talking about 14 of them here under the worst list, 15 if you count the DC Rebirth special. To be honest, not all of the titles on the worst list are actually bad. It's just when you're lining up from 29 to 1, titles are going to fall onto the bad side of the list. However, each one of those can also use a little bit of tweaking. So without further ado, here is the worst of DC Rebirth 2016. So to start off this little shindig, I guess we should talk about the DC Universe Rebirth special that came out that started all of this off. And one of the worst things to ever happen in comic book history, Wally West got pushed to the side so Barry Allen could be Flash again, even though he was Flash for the same amount of time as Barry Allen. But I digress. What we start off with is Wally West trying to find somebody to connect to. So he travels through the DC universe to everybody he knows and looks for somebody to help him out. First he tries Batman, but when that fails, he travels through the rest of the DC universe, thus introducing us to the heroes that are going to have new books coming out. He also stops by the people he knew before the New 52 started, like Linda Lee. However, of course, they have no idea that he ever existed, so when it fails to get them to help him, he once again goes to the people he knows, and he finds Barry, who actually ends up helping him out and pulls Kid Flash into the Rebirth universe. And then at the end of the book, we cut to the Batcave where Batman finds the Watchman's smiley face, and we get the idea that Dr. Manhattan is the one that caused the New 52 and the Rebirth saga and the whole 9 yards. Unfortunately, we never hear anything else about it. And what starts off as a great potential for a huge crossover that would change everything again, it turns out to be a one-off book that never has any payoff. But Englentine, who cares? Where's the countdown? Where's the worst 10 of the Rebirth series? Well, here they are. Number 10. Harley Quinn. And yes, I know, Harley Quinn is DC's little darling these days. She's the big sell. She's the sell point. And I will say this, there are some awesome variant covers for Harley Quinn's books. The regular covers are good, but wow, those variants are very good. And the book actually starts off strong. The first story is a zombie story. It's alien meat causes people to be a zombie, and they go all out, and it's crazy, and it's wild, and it's a lot of fun. I love the way that it was handled at the end, and how the zombies were taken care of. However, it immediately goes down. I mean, issue 4, it just starts going downhill. They go to fight a robot in a big call center in India, and it's like, okay, just who cares? And then right after that, there's this storyline that the undercover punker, and it's horrible, and they spend 3 issues on this story, and it's not funny. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of somebody at a party that wants to be funny, and they try so hard, and after every joke they go, huh? See? I'm funny, right? And you just kind of awkwardly, you're silent because you know this person's trying way too hard to be funny and failing miserably at it. That is issue 4, 5, 6, and 7 of Harley Quinn. It just derails it, and that's why she's so low. However, starting with issue number 8, which actually focuses on the relationship between Harley Quinn and the Joker, and Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy, it starts to pick back up. This issue is a lot of fun. It's smart. There's stuff to it that makes it good. And then we go into issue number 9, which is kind of a riff on, it starts off with a riff on the Wizard of Oz, and it is also brilliant. And then the Christmas issue, which turns out to be Harley Quinn and a Fantastic Voyage. So the reason why it's on this list is because it was derailed, but it's high on the list, or low on the list, number 10, because it did have promise and it's showing promise again. Number 9, All-Star Batman. Now, how do I talk about this one? This is one story. It's not like Harley Quinn where you had a few stories, but so far Batman is, he's captured Harvey Dent, and he's on a long journey. He's on a long trip to get him back to Gotham. However, there's a whole bunch of people, including Two-Face, that has put out a bounty on both Batman and Two-Face, including the Penguin, King Shark, and what is his name? Great White, and Black Mask. Anyway, so every villain that Batman has goes after him. Now the problem is that as soon as Batman stops them, he doesn't kill them, and sometimes he just gets away from them. They stop, except for the KG Beast. He keeps going throughout the entire series when he shows up. But all the others say, yeah, okay, he got away from us, I don't need the money that much. Then why did you travel over there to fight him in the first place? So it doesn't make sense, and it makes, and it really looks, as you can tell, we're on issue 2, and it's been like, what, 10 covers? I think they put more time in the covers than they did in the actual story. And the problem is a lot of the covers aren't that great anyway. There are a few good ones, but overall it's just, okay, yeah, there you go. There's no need for all the covers they have for each issue. Another problem I had with it was Batwings in it. I want a Batman story with Batman. Every book he's in, it's the Batman family, or Bat team of some sorts. So here we have the perfect chance to have a Batman solo story, and they bring in another guy, and I understand he gets in trouble, it's good to have help. But the whole point of being the Batman is seeing how he gets out of the hard situations. It's not a bad book, it's just flawed. It's just a flawed book. And I guess I should say right off, the first 5 books really here are really not bad, they're just flawed. Number 8. The Teen Titans, and this one is on the list because I really don't like Damian Wayne as a character. He's one note. They never even delve into it. So anyway, he traps the Teen Titans to show that they have weaknesses, and he wants to bring them together as a team because there's a group called the Demon Fist that wants to kill them. And so he says, hey, let's be a team, but he kidnapped everybody, so of course nobody wants to be a team. And then they get attacked, and immediately after the fight they're said, hey, we're a team, and it seems like they completely forget that Damian Wayne kidnapped him and treated him like shit. And that's the problem. It's there seems to be no real human emotion in this. It's the newest, obviously, there's only been the 4 issues so far, and it just does not seem to be clicking so far. I hope it does, but all the charm that was in, say, the Marv Wolfman and George Perez version is gone, and in the end we just are left with a book full of characters we don't care about. Number 7. Of all the books to suffer from the 2-week schedule that Rebirth is on, it's Cyborg, because half the books are good, they have really good art, and half the books really just have bad art. I mean, it's almost cartoonish the way it is. This cover is almost indicative of it. Let's see, the story. Well, he's a cyborg and he fights cybernetic villains or robotic villains for the most part, and Kilgore's there, and Kilgore is saying, oh, but the master, he will show you. So there was hints of something bigger than even Kilgore, and I always thought he was one of the most powerful villains of the DCU. Turns out it's somebody who kidnaps and takes the place of Cyborg's father. And, of course, he causes all sorts of trouble. Let's see. This right here is the issue with Kilgore I was talking about, and it's pretty good. It's not horrible. It's just... it's boring. Although this issue here, where it's dealing with Cyborg's mindset, I enjoyed. Give me a little bit more of what he thinks and how he thinks as a cyborg. How much of a man is he versus how much of a robot? I think that is a very interesting take, and when it delves into it, these two issues are actually good, but unfortunately the rest of the book suffers. Because instead of giving us anything into the psyche of a cyborg, it's monster of the week, or monster of the 2 weeks, and that's about as far as it goes. Now, it does get a little interesting when they make a female cyborg. An agent is killed, an FBI agent or CIA agent is killed. She has information, so they tell Star Labs to give her the same treatment that Cyborg got to bring her back. And there's some interesting things in there, but ultimately what you know will happen does happen. She turns on Cyborg. She's the ultimate villain because, of course, everybody's ultimate villain is the mirror side of themselves. And there you go. A story you've seen a million times, you've read a million times, and they make sure to add absolutely nothing new under the sun. And that's why Cyborg's taking the 7th spot, because 2 books does not make. Number 6, Deathstroke the Terminator. Now here, this is an example of a book that started off real strong. Because at first it actually started off weak, got real strong, and then went weak again. In the beginning, he's in Africa, he saves Wintergreen, and he starts trying to find out who put a hit on Wintergreen. And that part's interesting, and that's kind of cool to see the interactions between them. But overall, the story is just kind of bleh. It's there, but it's, you know, it's very average. It's the kind of thing you've read in comics, especially in the 90s, all the time. So there's nothing new under the sun here. But then he starts hooking up with his daughter, the Ravager, and he finds out there's a hit on her. And he wants to find out who actually paid for the hit and who's trying to kill her. And the interactions between the two of them, the father-daughter assassin team, actually plays out pretty well. They go to Gotham, and you know, they have Batman who's just pure badass in it, including, you know, just, you know, throwing Robin to the wolves. Robin, you know, usually I hate Damian Wayne, but in this story he really pays off, and it's that part really kicks in. It really just ups the ante as far as storytelling is concerned. However, as soon as that storyline is over, it starts nosediving, and that's why this is as low as it is on the list. That's why it's number 6, because unlike Cyborg, which only had which seems to be on a kind of a rise, this is on a decline. His fight with Superman's ridiculous. You have to depower Superman to make this interesting, and you have to make Superman a dumbass, and I hate that. You can make your heroes smart, but make their adversaries smart also, and they depower and de-intelligence or stupefy Superman, and you know, that's just weak storytelling. What's going on with Jericho? That's kind of cool. However, like I said, overall it's just bad. And the last issue where it tells his origin was just, it was dull, because we already know where he's going, so where he's been isn't as exciting. Number 5, Batgirl. Man, I wanted to like this one. I really did. I'm a Batman fan, and I like Batgirl as, you know, as an ancillary character, as a side character, and I enjoyed the almost every iteration of her. I like Barbara Gordon better as Oracle, but, you know, now we've got her as Batgirl again. Unfortunately, wow, this was not good. I couldn't get into how they were writing the character. It's almost like millennial, but just there's nothing to her. There really isn't. She's a blank in this book. And while the costume design is cool, the fact that they draw her so skinny, it's just, I cannot believe she does what she does in any form, whether it's the writing or the physicality. It's just unbelievable. And the story is kind of boring. She goes back to Japan. She tries to meet her teacher. She comes up against somebody else. and blah blah blah. It's just, there's no tension, there's no excitement to it. This issue right here with Ivy, that was good, so hopefully there's a turnaround. However, as it stands, it's just boring. I can't even say it's bad, it's just boring. Number 4. I guess boring is a real crime for me, because the Blue Beetle falls into that category also. Even by the covers. I mean, look at this. There's nothing exciting about the covers for this issue anyway. Hello, see? But the story itself also. Actually, this is a weird situation where I like, what is his name? Jamie Reyes? I like his interactions with his family more than I do when they put on the suit. Now, this issue was okay, but I liked her better than him. I liked the villain better than the hero in that issue because she was flirty. She wanted him to be a boyfriend of sorts, and he refused, so she kicked his ass. No book is completely horrible the same way that no book is completely great. They're bringing Dr. Fate into this rebirth era in the Blue Beetle, and like I said, here's one. The art is good. I do it, not the covers. The covers are still boring, but the art is good, and I can praise that. Otherwise, this is a weird situation where the character is more interesting out of his suit than when he's actually trying to be an exciting superhero. Number 3. Now, from reading Batman Beyond, this is an interesting situation just for one. The covers of this are awesome. Except this one. This is a bad cover. However, also, this is about a guy, not the Batman himself, but he's going up against the Jokers. You know, the gang in the cartoon. They've taken over a town, and the leader is trying to revive the Joker from the dead. This should be a gripping tale that makes you not want to turn away. However, it's more of just get on with it. Are they going to raise the Joker? Are they not? Blah, 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 yada, yada. Just move a little, because the dialogue is heavy, and it's just a slow-moving book for what it wants to do and what should be done. It really does seem like it's a 1 or 2 issue story that's been spread over 4 or 5 issues now. They're trying for the trade paperback. They shouldn't. Just finish a story when it naturally ends. Number 2. Supergirl. I think they just don't know what to do with the character. I like the fact that they make her into somebody who's a fish out of water, because she didn't arrive here as a baby. She arrived here as a teen. That's really good. I like that element of it. However, it seems like they just don't know how to handle her as a character, and it's awkward, and it's not fun. It's not fun watching her adjust to the modern day world the way they're writing it, especially when you see something like on the TV show where you see, okay, yeah, she has some troubles, but they're still fun to be had. They're just not having that kind of fun in the book. And it's the worst way to treat the Cyborg Superman. They made him into the old Brainiac from the animated series, where he was a construct from Krypton. And it's a waste of a good character. And yes, I thought Cyborg Superman could be a good character. He's along the lines of Kilgore, but he's still an interesting character. And they kind of throw it away here. There's a lot of potential. I would love to see this improve, but so far every issue has been a chore to read. It's got decent art, and there are things that work for it, but it's like the whole is not worth the sum of the parts. And I would love to see a Supergirl written right, the way Peter David used to do. So before revealing the worst book that DC Rebirth has produced, we're going to show you 14 through 11, otherwise known as the runner-ups.
Well, come on down to Gorilla City. We got all the gorillas you need. We got Gorilla Grodd, Solivar, and Beppo the Super Monkey. We got Kongorilla and Buana Beast, every superpowered.
And the number 1 absolute worst that DC Rebirth is producing is Superwoman. And I have to say, I wanted to like this one. I loved the covers that I was seeing. The whole idea of a Superwoman was okay, and I actually thought maybe it was Ultra Woman and just taking him up. But it ends up being Lois Lane and Lana Lang, and I'm thinking, wait a sec, can't we just have a side character? So I do have to admit, I have a bias against it just going in, because without the good supporting cast that Superman had, we're ignoring the man and we're just concentrating on the super, and that's what really wrecks this book. Plus the fact that it's just dull. I mean, there's nothing exciting going on in these books. The Haunting of Lana Lang was okay. I like that issue, so they have one out of everything that's been going on. Otherwise, every time I pick it up, I'm bored. It's a chore to read. There's nothing dragging me to it. Nothing saying, hey, you have to read the next issue. Every issue has been just impossible to get through, and it takes a lot longer than what I originally thought I was going to take just to read the few 6 issues that are out to even have anything to talk about on this review. This whole series so far has just been an incredible waste of time. I wish it was different, but that's how I feel. The art is mundane, the story is lacking, the characters are boring. I just wish it was better. And hopefully it does improve, or they cancel it and replace it with a better one. So that was my list of the worst of DC Rebirth. What's yours? Was there something on this list that you would keep miles away from a worst list, or was there something I left off that you would put on? Let me know in the comments below. Also, if you like this video, you want to see more, please click subscribe to see more. Don't forget to click like and share. Thank you for watching, and see you again later.